welcome to another episode of Yoga for the Barn Aisle by Cowboy Yoga. I'm your host, Makayla, and today I want to be talking to you about setting goals as an equestrian. Today's going to be kind of a psychology-heavy day, but I am really excited because this idea actually popped up for me while completing some work for one of the classes I have been in, all about personality development. So, thinking about cognitive social learning theory. You don't need to remember what that is, but remember the words self-efficacy. Essentially, this is self-esteem, or the belief in how well you can do something. And let's face it, this is imperative to us as equestrians. This means that we know where our knowledge base is, we know what is safe for us to do, and when we might want to ask someone for help. But this idea of self-efficacy also allows us to become aware of where we are competent in our equestrian lives and where we want to work on our skills or gain skills, or maybe start the foundation of building a new skill set. Maybe for those of you listening, the skill set you want to build is a mindfulness toolbox that you can reach into in any situation you may find yourself in, guided by yoga and psychology knowledge. That's what Cowboy Yoga is specifically created to do. So, talking about self-efficacy, we need to discuss something called outcome expectations. And it sounds exactly what it is, right? You have an expectation about the outcome of an event. So there's something that maybe triggers a behavior, and then there's a consequence of that behavior. That's getting into some conditioning theories, but either way, the idea is that you as an equestrian can think through or simulate an event and decide upon the most likely outcome, or the outcome that you want to have happen. Now, this is where it's important for goal setting. First off, you need to have the self-efficacy to understand where your knowledge base and skill set ends and where your growth begins. And it's in that space that you want to set your goal. So something that is not entirely new maybe, but something that you want to grow. That said, if it is something entirely new, start small. Set a small goal. Achieve it, in a short span of time. That's when you're going to get the most success rate, and you're going to be able to keep going. And you're going to build momentum, and you're going to hit that goal and say, okay, what's next? So if you want a brand new goal, start with something really small. If you're looking to expand a knowledge base, you can go a little bit further and push yourself a little bit more because you already have the foundational knowledge. You have something to build upon instead of trying to create. I'm going to use a garden analogy. So you might already be a gardener, or you're starting a crop that you've already put seeds in the ground and you're just adding more to it to help those plants grow, or whatever it may be. I am not a gardener, but I like this example because it's the idea of already having something there. Maybe you used the garden last year and you're rotating crops so that those nutrients haven't been used up and you can replenish the soil at the same time. Or you might be someone that is a completely brand new gardener, never done anything, and you're just trying to build like the soil bed, right? To put the dirt in. Those two distinctions are where the self-efficacy and the self-esteem begins. Then, having those outcome expectations allows you to determine what goal you're setting, and if you're going to break a really big goal into smaller goals, or if you're going to stick with a medium-sized goal. Does that make sense? I hope so. If not, drop a comment, send me an email. My email is on my website. It's info@cowboyyoga.com. I am more than happy to help you guys, especially if something in this episode or any other episode is unclear. Now, when we're thinking about outcome expectations, we can use these to also help visualizing achieving goals. So this idea of moving through the motions, or mentally modeling the motions that would then take you from where you're at now to achieving your goal, that's the act of working through the outcome expectations. It's the act of determining what those expectations should be and what those outcomes should be. Now, I want you to keep in mind that as an equestrian, just like we talked about in the winter arc episode, if you haven't listened to that, that's the last episode, and I think you should start there. But if you're just looking to set goals, really determine, sorry, I'm looking at my notes to make sure I don't miss anything, and I have exclamation points on this. Really determine if your goal is horse and rider related, so maybe growing the connection between you and your horse. If it is solely horse related, maybe your horse has a weak top line and your goal is to gain strength in their top line. So maybe you're gonna set a goal to do ground pole exercises 3 times a week or cavaletti exercises 3 times a week. And your third option is that it's just a goal for yourself as a rider. So maybe this is working on your own fitness level outside of the saddle. Maybe it's learning body work so that you can help your horse. Maybe it's this goal of having more mindfulness techniques because maybe you find that you've been getting anxious while riding and you just don't know what to do with this ball of anxious energy that you are. So maybe you're going to look into pranayama practices or ways to dispel this anxiety that isn't harmful to anyone in the equation. But those are the 3 different distinctions as an equestrian you need to make when setting goals. Now, I also want to talk about the idea of goals and why maybe you're going to take it a different direction. I know for me, setting goals actually has kind of been a challenge, and it's more so I ask myself, what do I want to achieve? So just changing the verbiage from a goal to an achievement changes the way I think about it. Maybe there's a different word for you than goal. Maybe it's an outcome. Maybe it's having an actual award or whatever it may be. But notice just if the word or verbiage you use changes the way you mentally conceptualize setting a goal. The other thing I want to discuss, you want to create new habits and routines. So then your goal is actually to create micro movements to create a big shift. And instead, these micro movements are aspects of your goal, are aspects of your routine, and then all of these things combined create a transformation. So maybe you think of your goal as a transformation instead. That, I think, is really helpful for equestrians. I actually would controversially say, for a goal-setting podcast episode, don't set goals as an equestrian, because especially if you're in the competitive world or if you have a goal of like, I want to place first in this medal class, whatever it may be, it's taking the time to acknowledge that you may have ridden the best round of your life, but the judge had some sort of observation. It's an objective judgment of the round. And that's the thing. Judges do their job. And sometimes just rides don't score as well as what we think they will, right? So as equestrians, I really want to shy away from setting goals like that have specific, I'm going to say, awards tied to them that you might not have all the controllables for. That said, we are working with live animals, horses who are known to hurt themselves, have bad rides, have bad days. They have brains too. They have emotions, all the things, right? We know this. So just taking time to acknowledge that and separating those, oh, I'd really like to do that, with this is something I'm going to be working towards. So maybe instead of scoring a specific way in a class, it's riding really well in that class. And maybe you're working on landing on a specific lead, and the goal actually is to land on that lead in that class. So then you can break that goal into steps of practicing lead changes, practicing cueing for a lead over a fence at different angles, on different diagonals, whatever it may be, right? So I just wanted to make that caveat as an equestrian, as someone who has done the like, oh, I really want to score this, or I really want to win this class, and it just like, that doesn't happen. And so it's going back to the outcome expectations and setting yourself up for success. So choose a goal, choose a transformation that you have control of. This is why I actually really, really like the equestrian self-specific goals or the horse and self-specific goals. But I'm biased. That's also what my entire business is about. That's what I focus on as equestrian. So there's my complete bias. But I love those types of goals, and that's also something that I know I can help you with. The specific trainer-related goals, although I have ridden at high levels, I am not a trainer. I will never say I am a trainer, so I cannot help you with those things. But if you want to talk about connecting with your horse or overcoming struggles that you've had as a rider, those things I can do because I have been through so much, and it's just... Sorry, I get fired up talking about this because I said in the trailer, and I didn't say it, if you don't know my story, I retired my gelding at 16. Or I was 16 years old. He was 12 at the time. So very young. And that was not at all what we thought was going to happen. I actually planned for him to be my 3-6 horse. I wanted to try to get to medal finals, all of these things, and in an instant, it became my new goal was his well-being and making sure that he was comfortable dealing with the arthritis, nerve damage, and spinal compression that he had that we didn't know about. And that sounds like a lot of things we should have known about, but he was a very sneaky horse and covered a lot of it up for a really long time. So making that shift, I then really focused on growing my connection with him and understanding his body and the way that I affected him and how my emotions affected him. And I was able to transform the way I went about my equestrian life to really cater to his needs and our connection, because it no longer was about the competitive show ring and the horse. I'm going to say horse goals, but really the horse goals for him is just keeping him sound and happy, right? It wasn't about trying to jump higher or trying to fix his form in any way. It was really the question of like, what makes him the most comfortable? And if going to the side slightly with his neck is how he's going to go, that's just going to be the option, right? So now I'm going to jump back over into setting goals. When you're looking to set goals to connect better with your horse, I am your girl through and through. And everything I do with this business will lead to that, even if it's not explicitly stated, because you will understand yourself better by doing the work. That's the magic of yoga, and that's why I bring yoga in, and that's why I bring psychology into these things. That's why the 3 pillars of cowboy yoga exist: horses, psychology, and yoga. But that's where my strong suit is. So while setting goals, keep that in mind. And I think that's a great way to actually end this episode, because it leads us perfectly into everything else I want to do, right? I aim to help riders overcome burnout, to help them connect with their horse, maybe to help them discover who they are as an equestrian. Like, these are my strong suits. This is what I want. So if goal setting seems like something you don't even know what you want, you're in the right place. And I am so grateful that you're here. If you could leave a comment of what you want to see next, a like, a follow, maybe even send this to a friend if it hit you in some way that you think they need to listen to this too, I would greatly appreciate it. I'm looking to grow an amazing equestrian community out of cowboy yoga, one where we can help each other out, we can work through programs together, we can grow and transform together. If you would like to get VIP access, insights, and help me build new courses and programs specifically designed for you, hop onto my website, cowboyyoga.com, and subscribe to my email list. That's where you'll find me first, and I can't wait to meet you. Thank you so much for listening or watching if you're on YouTube, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.